Welcome back to the channel. I got my co-host Keith with us. So
What's up?
welcome back to the waterfowl den. And I don't think last time were you here? Did was the
Yeah,
boat here? Oh, okay, I got some graphics on the front now.
yeah.
Y'all,
Looks pretty awesome.
I don't know whose sticker that is right there. Some crazy person ran by and stuck it on. You
Yeah,
never you you never know where it comes from.
for sure.
Well, welcome back to the weekly podcast at 8 o'clock. We're at 8:15 today. Um, my little daughter's dance went a little bit longer today, so it pushed us back 15 minutes. But hey, you get what you get.
It
So
happens.
it happens. But I appreciate everybody tuning in. Um, Today we're talking ammo and shotguns and just different topics for today. Um, it's been at least 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks since we had Keith on. Keith, any price changes you seen in ammo and or ammo supplies?
Um, Not on my end very much. I'm still holding on to a bunch of stuff that I've acquired the last little bit, so um
While I was
it's
while
hard
I
to
was
say
waiting
when the prices will increase, but it'll be unfortunately pretty soon, I think.
while I was waiting on my little girl, about a half, maybe a mile away, there's an academy, and they had long shot, which this academy hasn't had any shotgun reloading stuff since I started reloading, but
Yeah.
they had long shot. It was about $8 more than any of the other stores, and they had primers in stock at $1 more than any other store. And I'm like, dang, I'm buying Shadites for $8. They wanted $9 for these, and I'm like, man, that's $1 more, and then a good bit more on just powders, and that's just one store. So them prices are slowly creeping up. I've seen some TSS prices done jumped up a little bit too.
Yeah, I think you're going to start seeing like the little independent, not independent, but the smaller suppliers starting to jump prices. So we'll
So
see.
this is a stupid question, but I got to ask it because it's going to lead us where we're going to talk about today.
Mhm.
What is the most popular gauge? Obviously, 12 gauge. That's probably what most people grow up. Some people's going to say it's other gauges, but if you look at it, typically 12 gauge is the most popular gauge there is.
Right.
And then when you ask, hey Mark, when you ask any Google search what is the most popular load, it's going to say bird shot, and
Hmm.
that's either that could be dove, that could be clay pigeon, um, anywhere in that type, upper land game, pheasant, possibly, maybe some people might say bird load would be waterfowl because there's some states that cannot shoot lead waterfowl. I mean, it's lead for dove. They have to shoot steel. Some states have steel. Some states let you shoot lead on private, but you have to shoot steel on game management. So just the way people feel. Mark said, "Oh goodness, here we go on that 12 gauge." I wish I could pull up the statistics on everything, but we're going to stick on the most popular. So I'm going to share one of my screens here to pull it up here. So just typically, and you sent me this screen here. Let me zoom in. Um,
Hmm.
let's see if I can blow this up a little bit so people listening ain't gonna be able to see it. But this is what blew my mind, and that
Mhm.
doesn't take much to blow my mind. So I'm going to say it before you say it. So when I got into reloading, and thanks to Keith and his Facebook group that he helps manage, I still have all 10 fingers, and that's what we're trying to keep, all my fingers on reloading. I was thinking logically, maybe it wasn't logically, but I was thinking if I was shooting 1 1/8 loads, if I dropped down to a 1 ounce load, I would save on pellets, and I would save on powder.
Mhm.
Well, guess what? You don't. I did not know that. I thought, hey, if I drop down 1/8 of an ounce on pellets, I can use less powder. In theory, that sounded right, but when I put it in the gun and shot it, my gun didn't cycle because it didn't have the extra pressure in a 3.5-inch gun. So I had to go up on gunpowder, and I'm like, I didn't even win anything. My 1 ounce is now using the same powder as my 1 1/8 ounce, which blew my mind. And this chart right here shows, we're just going to talk about right now 1 ounce loads and 1 1/8 ounce loads. So I've been shooting.
Those
That's
are
for
steel
steel.
shot, by the
Yep.
way.
Here we go. Here's the lead. So
There you
7.5. That's what I've been loading, is 7.5. So 7.5. I get 350 pellets in a 1 ounce load, and it's just average. Somebody's gonna say, "Hey, you really get 352," but this is just average.
Yeah.
Just by going at 1/8 of an ounce more, you would not think an 1/8 of an ounce more would give you almost 50 more pellets. That's like 40, 46 more pellets. That is mind blowing. At 1/8 of an ounce.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
then you look at these 7.5, 8s, and 9s. This is what people typically use for dove hunting. Look at just 1 ounce load, 350. If you went to a number 8, well, now you get 410. Well, if you jump up all the way up to a 9, you get 585 pellets. And you're going to say, man, why would you not shoot 9s if you get 200 more pellets? But there is a gain and a loss with that.
Yeah.
You're going to gain more pellets, but what are you going to lose? Distance. Penetration at distance.
Right.
That same dove that you're hunting, that you may take out at 40 yards with this 7.5,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you might be throwing more pellets at it with a number 9, but your energy is going to be down.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit, until you really start loading and understanding like the size of the pellets and really looking at boxes, how mind blowing that really is. Because you would think like, hey, I'm going to shoot some ducks, which would be, I know this is lead, but 4s and 5s and waterfowl load, and a goose flies over at 40 and 50 yards up, and you try to shoot at it, and you're never going to hit that big old goose with them 4s and 5s. It may, you possibly could, but you don't have that energy. And it's crazy how the 2s and the 3s carry that force, that penetration force.
Mm-hmm.
So with a 1 ounce load, you gain maybe a little bit better pattern, but you're giving up some other stuff. You see that a lot when you're calculating in your mad scientist room. Do you have a mad scientist room?
Not really.
You got to get a mad scientist room.
I've got an
Somewhere.
office. I don't know. I guess that's close enough.
You got an office. It ain't the bathroom, is it?
Hey, a lot of
That's
good
what.
ideas have been had on the doing the paperwork, you know.
No, a lot of crappy ideas.
For sure.
And somebody else would say the other word, but I'm going to say
Yeah.
crappy ideas. But when you go from even waterfowl loads, which are typically higher, like 1 ounce, 1.5, 1 7/8, you start getting up there in them bigger loads.
Mm-hmm.
You get more pellets, but you're going to get more kick also.
Yeah, there's
And
recoil.
sometimes with that extra recoil, it messes with your second shot because now you get muzzle jump.
Yeah.
So this is where and Keith said it before too. Pattern your shotgun, because pattern what you're using, because just going out and buying a box that has hey, this one's got more pellets in it, or a 3.5 inch shell. You don't need a 3.5 inch shell.
Yeah. Everything comes down to pellet count. I mean, it depends on what you're pursuing, but there
Right.
is a balance between pellet count, energy, recoil,
Yep.
uh, all that stuff.
I got a recoil chart that I want to throw up here too, but I found another. Where is the name of this? This was on a hunting website. It's called Selecting um, the Right Ammo. I'm going to put it on the page too. See if I can find it. Let's see. I found it on my phone, and I wish I could have saved it and sent it to. Um, wish I could have sent it to my laptop.
Yeah.
But it had a beautiful picture of comparing animals to the shot size.
Oh yeah.
I might have to look for it. Here it is. I knew it was on the hunting app. But this picture right here really broke it down. So if you never looked at it, it's called hunting.us right shot size. I'm gonna zoom up just a little bit to get it all in view here. But it's really cool how it breaks down upland, which would be, doves, squirrels, and it shows you down here on the bottom size shot diameter. And then you start getting into the geese and ducks down here in the twos. And then, you got a teal up here. So the teal falls in the smaller duck, and then the geese, and then into predators, which would be,
Mhm.
your deer and your bears. And then that's when you get down here in your double arc, triple arc. But here's one of your favorite, the tees. You like some tee shots and what's some of that tungsten you load? Is it fours?
The triple threat load. It's got fours, twos, BBs, and Ts.
Yeah, that sounds like a whole deadly combination of it going to take out everything. And plus that's TSS, so that's going to have a higher penetration versus steel and lead either also.
Yeah.
So heavier loads hold their momentum more than, lighter loads, right?
I don't know if you can say that. I think it's all like your pellet. You're talking about individual projectiles, small pellets, and there's no difference in energy and penetration between a 410 going, or like a 410 load shooting number 8 birdshot going 1250 feet per second than a 12 gauge shooting the same pellet size going the same speed.
Right.
You
I,
have more
I was
energy on target because of the pellet count hitting the bird. You're going to get more pellets hitting the bird with a 12 gauge than, I mean, potentially, right?
Yeah.
Than a 410 based on patterns. So yeah,
I
the
read
energy
a
hitting the target's going to be higher, but the individual pellet energy is the same.
I read a statistic, and I have no what is that, sonograph or chartograph, whatever, one of them high dollar expensive devices that can measure feet per second. But they were all, what you read is the faster you make it go, the slower it slows down at the other end. If you want to stay around that 12 and 13 range to make it stay the same.
Yeah.
But it was saying that 150 feet per second at the muzzle is only 50 feet per second at 40 yards. That's just breaking it down, saying, hey, you're going to slow down at 40 yards. And then at 50 yards, it's going to be even slower.
Yeah.
And at 60 yards, even more.
Right.
But TSS changes a lot of that.
Yeah. Every chart that I've seen, the TSS basically doubles lead's ballistics. Penetration is roughly twice as much. Energy is roughly twice as much.
And I haven't been around reloading, maybe 6 months, maybe.
Yeah.
I am not going to say we are. The industry is on 18 right now. That there was like 13 and then 15, and now they're on 18. Is that why are they going? I know they're improving, and I'm sure technology is improving, and there's different ways tungsten is made, but it started out mostly at 13, and then they went to 15 and 18. What's making it? Are they getting better, or just better technology? Is there something that's going to outplace 18 soon?
I kind of doubt it. I think pure tungsten is around 19 and change. So I mean, you have to get to get tungsten into a pellet form, you have to bond it with other metals and materials and then cook it off with extremely high heat and pressure. So unless they can find a way to keep some of that higher density, there are different densities of TSS. There's like anywhere from 17 and a half to, I'd say, close to 18 and a half, depending on where you get it.
And is that 13, 15, 18? Is that because they're all got something in them to make them magnetize? Because if you stick a magnet to it, they will stick to a magnet, not like steel. I mean, if you I was picking some of mine up with a screwdriver that was magnetized, and when I'd pick it up, they would stick to it, but eventually fall off. So
Yeah.
they do have some kind of, I guess, would that be steel in them?
So the manufacturing process is interesting. They have big, they're called a feta or a feti machine, and it's the same machine that compresses pills that they use in pharmaceuticals, right? It's the same machines that they press into pills, the capsules. So what they do is they press tungsten, majority of it tungsten, but they use iron, nickel, polymer, and cobalt into a mix that's all a powdered mix. They press it into a capsule or a little pellet. The pellets, like I looked at it, like I did a tour of this, and this is the only reason I know this is I toured
Where
a
was this
facility
at?
that manufactures it, and
What
they
state was
pressed in
that?
a pellet. The pellet was like a number two size, looked like a number two size. I'm like, so what is this going to make? And they're like, this is going to be number 9. I'm like, a number 9? Are you serious? Like, this thing's huge. And they're like, well, it cooks off with, there's like 3 or 4 stages of extremely high heat. I'm talking 2,000 degrees plus, where it cooks off a lot of those different materials like cobalt and nickel. And the polymer, it burns off, and it helps basically contract it and compress upon itself even tighter and tighter and smaller until it's the size that it needs to be. So it's kind of a
Well,
crazy process. That's the whole reason tungsten tungsten anything is so expensive because of the manufacturing process.
Where'd you tour that out? What state was that in?
It's in Wyoming.
Mm. That would be crazy because you saying a number 2, which is a decent sized pellet, all the way to a number 9, which
I'm just
is
guessing
almost.
I'm just guessing what it was. It could have been a 4. I don't know. It was bigger. It was way bigger than a number 9. So, and I just
But
kind of picked it up out of a bin and looked at it real quick. But
if they doing that, imagine like big bars of tungsten. How much like that? Like you said, it's always expensive because when we were racing remote control cars, anything out of tungsten, it gave you the weight, but it was super expensive.
yeah, it's a rare earth metal, and that's a huge part of it as well. But I
You think
think
we can
there
find
may
any in our backyard?
be. I wish.
There's
Be
some in
sitting
my
there with a
backyard.
bunch of tungsten ore.
There's some in my backyard.
Yeah, I'm sure there is, huh? Just pick
Typically,
apart that
it's
pallet.
mostly it's down there in that pallet.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie. I seen a it's made out of wood. I saved it on my phone. It's this
Yeah.
rolling mat. You put paper on it and you pull the paper down, and when you shoot through it, it hits that rubber mat, and all your pellets and TSS and everything else just falls into a bucket. And I'm like, man, I could reuse. But I'm like,
Yeah.
by the time you buy all the pieces to make this thing, you probably could just buy the TSS and move on.
I've seen some shot catches that people use, and it makes sense. I think as like a I don't know, like an at-home reloader and stuff like that. It'd be, I don't know, cost effective, but seems like more of a pain in the butt than anything.
Yeah, I mean, whoever designed this one, I'm talking about it. It was about the size of a pallet. I mean, it was a pretty big thing, but they used rubber mat. So when you shot through the paper, it would hit the rubber mat and just fall straight down.
Right.
Which props to the person that designed it. It was pretty nice.
I don't know, the big backers at my range are rubber, and TSS gets stuck pretty deep into there, even at 40, 50 yards.
So I got this other screen here. We were talking about recoil, and I'm gonna zoom up on this. Obviously, 10 gauge is going to be up there because that's a 3.5-inch gun. I mean that is one of the big boys. And I learned one interesting fact today, and I haven't fact checked it, but do you know what a flatboat is called that they started hunting waterfowl out of? And then eventually it was the name of the boat named the gun.
I have no idea.
And they guarantee probably didn't have it out there where you were at.
I don't know.
It was a punt, which was a boat, which then they started mounting the guns to the front and called them punt guns.
Right.
So the punt gun, they would just, I mean, it was a big old barrel. They would fill it full of all kind of crap, go out, sneak out on the boat, and when they would fire, it was basically a cannon at these waterfowl and then take out massive amounts of birds.
Right.
And if you ever want to look at the prices of a real punt gun, there's a few that surface around every now and then on Gunbroker. Insane prices.
Yeah, it's
insane.
Yeah, it's like a piece of history. You're basically buying a museum piece at that point.
Absolutely. I mean, it was crazy. These guys were making crazy guns. Like this was one here that, I mean, could you imagine shooting that?
Yeah, well, it's funny. He's not actually going to shoulder that thing.
Have you ever watched the TK and Mike, the old Widowmaker? That's what that reminds me of.
Yeah.
But there was a picture of a one on a gun on a boat. But they had some of these. This is what the punt guns typically look like. But check that out. And if you look at some of the waterfowl books, you would see a lot of these in here. I mean, these guys were shooting 5 or 6 charges at one time. Could you imagine how much gunpowder that would take now?
Oh yeah, well that's old black powder days.
Yeah, I bet you it would look like a war. All the black smoke in the air after that thing shot. You wouldn't know how many ducks she shot because all it looked like a steam engine coming through. I guarantee you that boat would move backwards when it was fired.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, well, it's like I don't know what they had for like a recoil absorption.
Real men.
Yeah, I don't know what they did there, but I know the cannons they used to have on naval battleships were on like wheels or rollers, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it was attached to the boat and you shot it and the boat went backwards, that probably could be some type of a recoil.
I guess that's true. Huh?
Because I guarantee you,
this chart doesn't seem kind of fair. It makes 10 gauge look like it's a lot worse than it is. I know 10 gauge is a 10 gauge, but you can shoot a 2 1/4 ounce load in 12 gauge, and the 12 gauge has got a lighter gun, so you're going to get more recoil out of a 3.5 inch 12 gauge than you are a 10 gauge, right?
I do not want to shoot 2 1/4 out of a 12 gauge.
That's a pretty common turkey load with lead. You know, I think every major manufacturer, Winchester, Federal, Remington, they all have, or at least have at one point, a heavy 12 gauge load like that. I think Fiocchi's even got like a 2 3/8. So.
Oh my goodness! But this is just, and it does not have every load on here by any means.
It's like a standard, like 2 1/4 is a pretty standard 10 gauge load.
So. Right. So it just shows you the bigger the load,
like generally,
the more you're going to feel it. Yeah. And obviously down here, the 1 ounce load, and we don't know if this is waterfowl load or dove load or whatever.
I don't think it matters.
And it probably don't. But you can see that versus up here.
Yeah. Like a 20-pound recoil compared to like a 65 pounds. That's a lot better.
Now, you know, somebody that's hunting in South Carolina like me, and we see like three wood ducks in a day, you know, your shoulder probably can handle this big boy up here. But you know, in some of these flyaways, you're not going to want to be shooting that all day long. You're going to have a bruise.
Yeah.
And plus you get older gentlemen and stuff like that they don't want to feel that recoil.
Right.
So, you know, you're still getting the feet per second down here. Mm-hmm. You're still getting the same. Well, that's a 16 gauge, but you still get the same feet per second, but with a lower ounce, and it doesn't kick as much. I don't care what kind of automatic you got. You're gonna feel that.
Yeah.
You're gonna feel it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anybody shooting more than really an ounce and a quarter at doves. So.
Oh no, I don't either. I think the most people that I see is 1 ounce and 1 1/8 for doves. This is definitely like upland birds, pheasants, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. The older I get, that right there. I mean, I am not going to go on the record at all saying I'm getting older and I need to switch to a sub gauge. I will not say that on record that I want to switch to a 16 gauge or 28 gauge. I will drop down to the 7th, 8th load before that day. maybe by the time I retire on YouTube, I might switch to the sub gauge.
Right.
But
Sub gauges are fun. They're just everything has their place. I think the sub gauges nowadays are more applicable with these higher density shot types. So
I'm not gonna lie. Here lately, this right here has been back in stock in a lot of ammo. The 28
yeah,
gauge. If a lot of people remember during COVID, there was so many 28 gauge boxes on the shelf. A lot of people bought 28 gauge guns just to have ammo to shoot. And
I mean, we bought a six, or not a. I bought a couple of 16 gauges, but my dad bought a 28 gauge for that reason. Because everywhere we went, I'm like, dude, all we can find is 28 and 16. It's like I can hand load my own 12 gauge lead stuff, but whatever. But it's like if we want to just go buy a box of ammo to go shoot and not have to worry about it, it's like all you could find was 28 gauge.
I mean, every time I went to Walmart, there wasn't a single box of ammo of nothing. And then there'd be these lonely 28 gauge that looked like they had dust on them. And I'm like,
you're
at
looking at
first, I
that
was
box
like,
with 28 and you're like looking at that stupid Hatfield in the shelf. Like, hey,
absolutely.
I could put these together maybe.
Yeah, I was looking at them like, man, should I be buying a 28 gauge? I never heard of a 28 gauge before COVID.
Really?
No, never heard of a 28 gauge.
Well,
but we throw around all the time, pattern your shotgun, pattern your shells, find a shell and stay with it. So we talked earlier, me and you on the phone, we were talking, what does weather affect shell's performance? And it's weather, let's say weather, where you at, all that has a play in shotgun shells.
mm-hmm.
If I loaded a shell up at my house right now and I went out there and patterned it and I changed absolutely nothing and I got in the car and I drove all the way out there where you are, is it going to look different?
It could. I think more than likely it will.
Because
I think altitude and temperatures play a part. I've heard from people that are a lot more intelligent than me say that altitude actually does play a factor into patterns. I want to repeat that they possibly said that higher altitudes produce tighter patterns because of the pressures or something to that effect. I apologize that I don't know exactly the science behind that, but I don't think as regular shotgunners, I don't think we need to really worry about that. I think
probably
what you need
not.
to do is just you just need to take your gun and your choke and your ammo selection and put it on paper. I think if you were to maybe be traveling around to different areas, you might be good to go. I don't know, maybe go shoot a couple on paper just to verify it, maybe.
Or had the mindset of, hey, I'm going here. I may need to take an extra choke with me so I could go up or down.
I was speaking to a customer of mine who actually shoots a lot of our triple curl, like a lot of it. I think he's probably shot at this point more birds with our triple curl than anybody else, which
Really,
isn't technically that hard at this point because we haven't been around forever. But he's shot probably upwards of like 500 birds with it so far.
Good gracious!
Right. So
I hope he stumps his toe on the bed rail tonight.
I'm sure.
I mean, I'm
sure he'd love to hear that.
For one, he's shooting a triple curl. And if y'all have not shot the triple curl or looked at Keith's triple curl, it is beyond amazing. I got plenty of videos of it, I shot a speckle belly at 70 yards, stone cold, dropped that bird. Unbelievable shot.
Yeah.
And the box is beyond. That box is something you ought to just buy a box and put on your wall. I mean, is somebody somebody who collects shotgun boxes?
Yeah.
This would be one of the boxes that should be in your collection.
I figured if I'm going to be making a high dollar product, I got to have a pretty sweet box.
Absolutely.
You're going to be putting $50 to $60 into a box of shells. That box is going to look sweet, dude. I know the shells got to be on lock too, but the box has got to look pretty sweet.
All right, so here's the box. I mean, I'm going to pull that up to the camera. Boy, that cat wasn't happy.
Stupid cat. Sorry about that.
Look at that box. That is a beautiful box. And then on the inside, that was just the box. Then on the inside is camo, which is like waterfowl. It probably doesn't have a brand name to it, but
it doesn't have a brand. It resembles shadowgrass, but it's not mossy oak.
But I mean, look at the. I mean, that is.
It is not the same pattern as your other camos, so it's kind of its own thing. But yeah, it's supposed to resemble waterfowl camo, so it's pretty cool.
I mean, that's
like I said, dude. You're gonna be putting a lot of money into ammo. You got to have a cool box.
So there's 10 shells in this box, and you saying home guy has shot that many birds with it?
Yeah, he shot a lot of ammo, and a lot of upland birds, and obviously a lot of geese and ducks too. But the point I was getting at is that he was talking to, and he puts a lot of effort into patterning, choke selection. I mean, he tests the crap out of this stuff. And I've got a bunch of data from this guy just because of how much he shoots this stuff, which is awesome. But he was talking to me, and he's like on a constant pursuit of perfection. He will not cease until he has the perfect pattern, which he obviously hasn't achieved yet, but he has some other stuff that he's trying to figure out. But he was talking to a guy in it was actually the Olympic shooting coach. And he was saying, he was trying to ask him about pressures, altitude, what temperatures and all these different things play into patterns and stuff like that. And what they possibly do, like, because they travel all over the world to shoot, obviously, not just in the Olympics, but, world championships, all this kind of stuff. And he was surprised that the Olympic coach said, we really don't do much testing when we travel. Like, we might go shoot on paper once, and if it varies in percentages low, then we'll go up a constriction size and we'll call it good.
But them guys that shoot competitive, they get there days ahead and shoot a couple hundred rounds just to be practicing.
Right.
Yeah.
So with them, it might not be that, for them being a professional shooter and just an amazing shot, like that might not play that much of an effect on your shooting. But that's the procedure that they do, according to him, is that they just, like in France, for instance, this year, they'll go and shoot it on paper once or twice. And if it varies from their standard percentages that they're used to at home, depending on if it's tighter or more open, they'll adjust their choke accordingly, and then they'll just call it good. So they're to his dissatisfaction, the Olympic team they're not as scientific and analytical as he is, at least, but as some of the other people as well. So
and it probably could just
that's where I kind of come to the conclusion that I don't think we should be putting that much effort and thought process into all these crazy ballistic variables and stuff like that. I think you just need to go shoot your stuff, put it on paper, and just go shoot them at birds, you know?
Yeah. So
Target.
I've been, y'all haven't seen the video yet, but I recorded the video. One of the videos will come out this weekend, but I have started reloading some TSS, playing around with that. Keith's helping me with that. It is what I seen yesterday shooting the video. It is crazy. And Keith saw some of the footage I sent him. It's crazy. I'm doing a duplex or some steel with some TSS. It's crazy how much the pattern changed if you put the TSS on top versus putting the TSS on bottom. I mean, you would think it wouldn't make that much of a difference. I mean, it made a difference. It made a difference. I mean,
you settled on the steel being on top being better, right?
Yeah, I did. I settled on keeping the TSS on the bottom and the steel on top. I mean, regardless, either way, they both look decent. That wasn't that.
I'd shoot either one of them. True.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But it didn't. It wasn't. Let me count it. It's close. It was. I walked up to it. Noticeable difference. That's how much difference. Literally, just flipping the load in that shell.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. And what blows my mind is a 2 3/8 shell, a 2 3/4 inch shell. I'm putting number 3s steel, which is like 90 pellets. And then the TSS, which are number 9s, it's got like 96 pellets. So I got 186 pellets in that 2 3/4. I think it's going to be a great shell. And we're still tweaking with it. We're still playing around with it.
Yeah, dude.
But like what Keith was saying, it may not be a science behind pressure and altitude, but there is one thing: buy good ammunition. You got cheap ammunition and you got good waterfowl ammunition. And there is a difference in powder. There is a difference in primer. And some of that is a slow burning powder, and you could see performance issues. You may hear it, you might kill birds, but you can hear a difference in the way it goes boom versus a day that's 60 degrees and then the next day it's snowing at 20 degrees.
Yeah. So I've noticed that a lot of companies with their steel shot, they'll use what's called lil gun. It's a Hodgdon product. It is very slow burning, and it does well achieving velocities, which people think you need with shot shell ammunition, steel shot in particular. But it is very dirty burning, and it does not do well in cold temperatures. So I'm not sure what kind of testing they've done in cold temperatures, but I'm not going to single out any particular company, but there are a few that load that particular powder, given what I've seen tearing apart their ammo. And you see reviews and comments or what have you online of people having issues with bloopers, squibs, wads getting stuck in their choke or halfway down the barrel, people blowing guns up, because a lot of the powders that these people are using like that in particular isn't ideal. In particular 12 gauge, I'm speaking 12 gauge ammo, it's not ideal. So buy ammo to your budget. And I think like you said, there's high-end ammo, there's cheap ammo. I think the people that have high-end ammo put a lot more thought into the performance internally and externally, as far as all that goes. So
Right. And somebody reloading like me may reload something different here in South Carolina versus Canada. I mean,
Right.
it's going to be cold, or these places that, like up there
Yeah.
where you are. I mean, when it's 30, 40 degrees here, hey, y'all can't even hunt no more because every pond's froze over. I mean, we get that maybe once a year. I mean, we
Right.
don't get cold. So
Yeah.
if I
It's like
took what I was,
you're in your neck of the woods, these steel shot ammo companies that load this little gun, it might not be an issue, probably not an issue at all, because
yeah,
you're hardly ever sub-zero temperatures or
yeah,
sub freezing temperatures even. But you come up here in Utah, like, you know, mid to late December into the late season, you could see temperatures every single day, all day long under freezing. So you got to have
yeah.
as a hand loader, you got to be particular in how you go about your powder selection. It's hard now because there's only so many powders on the market, but um, anyway,
What you can get your hands on.
what you can get your
But with
hands
that,
on is
with
easy.
that being said, you can take precautions on the way you storing your ammo. Hey, you going duck hunting? Don't go put your ammo in the boat the night before or in your truck, and it's going to get down to freezing.
Yeah.
Keep it in the house. Most of the waders now have the shells that you keep on your body. You can keep them in your jacket. You
Hmm.
don't have to expose all your shells to the weather.
Sometimes I'll keep electronic hand warmers in my pockets with the shells. So,
Mm-hmm. I mean, especially these places where you're going. That's just being said. If you're traveling, I mean, you're up there. You know how to deal with cold weather. I'm saying this for people who go on duck trips like me. I'm going to go to Oklahoma sometime this year.
mhm.
I've never hunted Oklahoma, so I need to prepare myself. Hey, what's it going to be if I get out there and it's cold? What I need to do if it gets hot? I mean, it's the same way. You're not when you're preparing to go on a big trip. You're not going. Well, I'm just going to pack shorts. It's going to be warm. What happens? It's always cold. So
Right.
you need to do the research wherever you're going. Do your research. Don't I'll just buy these cheap shells and I'll just use them there. And when you get there, man, these things stink. And then you're out in the middle of nowhere and you can't buy shells.
Yeah, or you know, the middle of nowhere place is going to have some mom and pop shop that may not have what you want or are familiar with.
Right.
So,
So that's another note. Go ahead and start preparing. If you missed a video from a month ago when he had on these ammo supplies, they say it's going to come. They say it's happening. I already, like I said at the beginning of the video, I already seen a little bit of price. I already saw a little bit in just the dove loads. They went up $1 a box, and you say $1 ain't that much, and that's probably is true. But just like gas, it was under $3 last week. Now it's 20 cents higher. I'm like, what happened over a week?
yeah.
So
It's not going to I don't know. These days it's hard to have a positive perspective on anything, let alone the ammo situation. So, I hate to
I mean,
sound bleak, but it's not going to get any better, at least at the moment. Like, it's not going to get from the next year or two. It's not going to get any better. So,
we're 2 months away. We're fixing to go in July. September is dove season. Dove starts in September. Early teal starts in September. Goose starts in September. At least where I'm at. Typically, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, they're pretty close. So that's 2 months. You know you're going dove hunting. You know you're going goose hunting. You know you're going to go teal hunting. There may not be any teal, but you're still going to go. Why wait 2 months to go buy the ammo that you already know you're going to go get? Just go buy it now.
right.
You're going you. I mean, it's not going to go cheaper.
No.
I mean, in 2 months, it's not going to be like, oh, I just saved. I spent $5 more. No, it's going to either be the same price or higher,
Well, and
or just not going to be any shells there.
Well, think about it logically. It's like, do you think Cabela's, Bass Pro, Academy, Sportsman's, Big Five, whatever, wherever you get your ammo, do you think they're going to have duck loads cheaper in season or out of season?
Yeah. Very true. You see that a lot after season. You see a lot of these
They're
shells go on
dumping it.
sale. Yeah, they're getting rid
Yeah,
of them.
that's the best time. It's like Christmas shopping. It's like, you go in to buy Christmas decorations. The best time to buy it's like the day after Christmas. They're dumping all their stuff for like 90% off.
Yeah.
It's the same with shotguns. You need turkey loads, buy them in the summer. You need
Yeah.
you need you need duck ammo, buy them in the summer. Like pretty much summer is like the best time to be buying just about any shot shell ammo from any kind of retail supplier.
So we were talking earlier on the phone, and you brought up a question that was a pretty good question. If there was an apocalypse or just the world go crazier than it is now, and you could only pick one shotgun shell, and we're just going to say 12 gauge because I'm not getting into the 16, 14. If you had to pick one shell, one load, what would it be? And I quickly told you what mine would be. If I had to pick, it would be a lead 7.5. Because if it was apocalypse or at the end of times, there won't be no DNR. They wouldn't be coming chasing after me for shooting a duck with a lead.
Right.
The end of craziness, apocalypse, zombies running around. I'm going with the 7.5. What would you go with?
What payload would you do? Speed.
I would do 1 ounce or 1 1/8, and somewhere around 1200 because I got semi-autos and they do the 3.5 inch guns don't like getting down in the to the 1100s. So 12, 1225, 1250, somewhere around in there. But definitely 7.5. And this is my logic. And my logic don't make sometimes sense in my own head. But if I could only pick one shell, I would do the 7.5s or somewhere around the sevens. It could be sixes, it could be eights, but somewhere around the 7 mark, you could shoot squirrels, rabbits, doves, any kind of bird flying. If you went smaller, like 2s, yeah, you might shoot ducks or geese, but you would blow a squirrel to smithereens.
Yeah.
And you sure couldn't say, well, I'm gonna pick double op buck because you couldn't. There would be no squirrel left if you could even hit the squirrel with a double op.
Right.
And somebody would say, well, if it was a zombie apocalypse and we're thinking craziness, do a slug. Well, slug ain't gonna do you no good feeding your belly.
If you need to make a slug, cut the shell open and pour wax in it and make a wax slug.
That's true. So what we were talking about.
Do a cut shell.
Well, as if you were making your own, but yeah. So what would you? I said 7.5, somewhere around the 7. What would you pick? Everything's gone out the shop, and you only got one size, and you got a semi full of that one ammo. What would it be?
It'd probably be. I go back and forth. I had one at one time. I can't even remember what it was. I think at one time it was like 1.25 ounces of like 4s or 5s. I'd probably go up in payload. I'd probably go with like 1.5 ounces of like 6s.
6s would be good.
I think that's I don't know. Like I don't think 7.5 is a bad choice either. But I'm thinking like if I had to shoot everything, like everything, including like turkeys, waterfowl, squirrels, rabbits, I'd want a little more energy at distance because I'm not confident that I could get everything super close.
Well, that would be.
That's why I
That
might
would
do
be.
fives. Like I might do 1.5 ounces of fives, but 5 or 6s with that heavy payload, maybe only moving like 1,200, 1,225 feet per second.
So while we were talking, I said, well, I would take my 7s or 7.5, and I could shoot a cooter with it. And I'm from South Carolina, and I know you're from out west there. And you said a what? I'm like, a cooter, a turtle. And he's like, I have never heard that. So I know.
No,
I
I've
know.
heard the term. That's not what that means out here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know that. But I know that you and your wife watch my videos to laugh at some of the words that I come up with. And some of my southern slang. But let me introduce you to the river cooter, which is on Wikipedia. Oh, wrong picture here. Here's Wikipedia. There is the river cooter, and you have the coastal plain cooter, and then you got a Florida cooter. This is what we have. And I was telling you, which you was like, I have never heard anybody cooking that up in a soup. Right here, 1950s edition Charleston recipe, which is from the great state of South Carolina. Now, me personally, I have never ate that. There is plenty of other food in my refrigerator before I would say I ate that. I mean, that would be down there with the raccoon.
Hey, you're
People say
hungry.
raccoon.
If you're hungry enough, you'll chew off your left arm.
Oh,
You know.
absolutely. I would need my
Oh,
right arm to shoot.
I don't
But
think. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like you guys in the South, you guys like to come up with interesting things to eat. I don't know.
I just would not want to go get this nasty turtle out of the river that has like teeth, which they always say, oh, if it bites you, it don't let go to lightning strikes. I mean, they are ugly turtles, the snapping turtles, and they take them and they boil them. And I'd rather throw a steak on the grill or something. I don't, and you know, it goes back to people shooting certain species of ducks. You know, people be like, oh, a ringneck, or
Yeah,
you know, a bluebill. Well, you know, the right person cooking it completely changes the way it tastes.
yeah. I'm sure the soup is good if you got the right person making it.
I would think I would rather.
Same with anything. I hope they're not listening. I love these people to death, but our neighbors, our old neighbors, this guy was an anesthesiologist, had all the money in the world, whatever. His thing was seems like these guys, they like to go either they like to golf or they like to hunt, or maybe a combination of both. But this guy was a big pheasant hunter, and he would not eat the pheasants. And these are pen raised birds.
Mm.
He couldn't stand the taste of them. I'm like, dude, they taste just like chicken. Like, it's not like, you know, I'm talking about a snake and it's like, oh, it tastes like chicken. It's like, no, this is like a literal like cousin of the chicken. It's just like an Asian chicken.
So, what
And
did the
he's like,
first?
I don't like the taste, the texture. And I'm like, dude, and I've heard the same thing about turkeys too. Like, oh, I don't like turkey, the wild turkey. It's terrible. It's like, you don't know how to cook.
Yeah. What
Like,
do you
you don't know
think
how to
the
cook.
what do you think the first person said when they ate chicken? Like a chicken was running around and they killed the chicken and ate it. What do you think they said? That tastes like what? Because everything tastes like chicken. What can you compare a chicken to?
I don't know. They probably said it was like tastes like manna or something like that. I don't know. I don't know, dude. It's probably an
Not,
amazing experience, though.
I mean, I'm just saying, I have chickens. They are miniature dinosaurs.
Yeah, I've got chickens too.
I mean, chickens They eat everything. They even
Yeah.
eat chicken. If you got like a breast or something, you go throw it out there, they will pick that bone clean. I mean,
Right.
it's kind of like disturbing that they're eating their own kind, but they're miniature raptors, what they are.
Yeah, they're little dinosaurs.
Yeah, it's crazy. But we went from talking shotguns down to chickens. Once a
Yeah,
month,
like I said.
I have my friend Ronnie on. He's starting to come on, and he cooks and makes all kind of recipes. I'm gonna see if he's got a turtle soup recipe. I bet you that's gonna be my next question to him. Like, do you have a turtle soup recipe? And I'm gonna know him. He's gonna be like, no, all I cook is catfish.
All I cook is catfish. Yeah.
I'm absolutely gonna take catfish over turtle soup.
Oh yeah. Hands down.
But well, anything else you want to talk about before we call it a night? We've been on for an hour, but you did bring up a topic that you're a young starting company, which is you're going on a year now, over a year, right? Year and a half.
Yeah, we're like a year and a half or something like that. Pretty crazy.
It is pretty crazy.
So
Hey, and I hit 3,000 subscribers, so we're
hey.
gonna. I am going to do a 3K giveaway, but I'm going to wait till after everybody gets off these vacations to schedule a night,
Yeah,
and I'm going to do something. I'm planning on a pretty cool video.
right.
It may come out terrible. I don't know. Sometimes with these videos, I'll put a lot of thought process in it, do it really good, and it gets absolutely no traction. And then I do some kind of stupid short, and it gets
It takes
5,
off.
6, 10,000 views, and I'm like, what in the
The-
world? The other one cost
There's
me money to make.
there's
It
no
makes
rhyme or reason. And then you
there,
get people commenting on these videos that aren't even actual people, they're bots. There's some computer generated artificial intelligence that's been programmed to come up with some relevant response to the topic. And it's like you're not even dealing with people, you're dealing with like these robots. And
absolutely,
people are arguing online with robots all the time. It's like they don't even know it. But yeah, there's
and
no rhyme or reason. There's no rhyme or reason to the algorithm, what takes off and what doesn't. Like it seems like it's just a free for all, just whatever goes.
just get lucky to try to make it big. That's
Yeah.
just I just want one video to like just blow up. Which therefore a little therefore that about a month ago my viewership blew up in like 4 hours. It was like what 400, 500 subscribers in like 4 hours. I mean, my phone was blowing up with subscribers. I
That's what I
felt like
mean.
I felt like Mr. Beast there for a minute. I mean, my phone was just ding, 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 ding. I mean, it was like commenting. I'm like, at first, I was like, this is cool. And then that only lasted about 15 minutes. And then I
Yeah.
realized this was spam. And I'm like, either one of two things. Either these people are real, and when they find out what this channel really is about shooting and hunting and fishing, I'm going to lose a lot of subscribers. Well, the next morning I woke up and I guess YouTube figured out that they were fake and took my 500 subscribers away from me.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean is like I don't know.
But it
I don't
felt
know if
good there
people,
for a little bit.
I don't know if it's like people trying to scam or I don't understand it, but there's a lot of fakery going on. So
Oh, it was absolutely overseas. I mean, it was names and they were commenting, and I was having to use Google Translator because I mean I couldn't. I have enough hard time with English. English is my English is my first and second and third language. I mean, why do we have so many words that are the same spelling but mean different things and say different things?
I don't know, man.
I mean, bass and bass, man. I'm wanting to hear some bass, and here's a picture of a bass. I mean, I struggle with these words. And then living in the South, we just make up words.
Yeah.
You-alls. How do you spell a you-all?
I don't know.
It's crazy.
Yeah. It's fun though.
The South is something else, that's for sure. That is something else.
I've never been there, so I've been to the Atlanta. I've been to the Atlanta airport. That's about as south as I've ever been. So,
well, I would invite you to come out here and shoot ducks, but
I know there ain't no ducks out there. Yeah, I need to have you out here.
And nothing else, we would eat good.
Yeah, I have no doubt that we'd eat good. I don't think we'd have any shooting.
We would shoot. We would shoot. Now we have birds to shoot at. Now it ain't that. I'm going to say majority of all our hunts, majority of them, we see birds. Are they going to decoy? Absolutely not. You may see wood ducks at very first light or a little bit before first light, and you may not see no more birds, but you're going to see birds. You just may not get a chance to shoot at them.
Yeah, I hear you.
So we have them, but you're fixing to hit 1,000 subscribers on your channel.
I am.
So if y'all watching this after this is over, or if you're listening to it on the podcast, y'all check out Salt Creek Ammo on YouTube.
It's probably the worst channel on YouTube, but sure, go ahead.
I don't know. You're starting to pick it up a little bit.
I guess. I'm going to go look at it. I don't even believe you.
I think it was like 800, right at 900 something subscribers. I mean, you're almost 100 subscribers away from making big money. Like 50 cents a day.
Subscribers away from being Mr. Beast? I'm trying to look it up. I don't think my laptop doesn't have that account for some reason.
I'm looking it up. So
let's see here. I got it on my phone.
You are at 800 something. You definitely growing just in the past. Go ahead.
816. Why the heck are they subscribed? I mean, cool. I don't even know what the heck I'm doing with YouTube, dude. It's just like whatever. I have like an idea or something I feel like I need to get out. I'll just put it on YouTube, I guess. But
yeah, look at me. I didn't have no idea either. Now I'm in the middle of a boat. I mean, no joke. All jokes aside, a year and a half ago, I was posting just a little bit of remote control racing. I had a channel for years, and it nothing waterfowl related. I said, you know what? I'm going to go waterfowl related. Here I am with a podcast. It's not the biggest, but it's growing every month. The YouTube channel is growing every month. I have met all kind of people.
Yeah.
I mean, look at me and you. We haven't met in person, but I've seen your ugly mug a couple of times, a lot.
Probably more than you want to.
Well,
I apologize for not wearing a hat. I kind of regret not wearing a hat today.
I know, because this could be the video that makes 1 million.
I know, and I'm like, wow. When you said that, I'm like, oh crap, this could be bad.
Could be the one.
This could be really bad.
Well, I doubt this would be the video because we're an hour in. The ones that go millions and millions of views are them shorts where people, it's got the short attention spans.
Yeah.
But this could be the one that makes it big on Spotify and iHeart and Apple Podcasts. And if that's the case, nobody gets to see how beautiful you look tonight. They can only hear me describing you through their car speakers.
Hey, if you get like 15 million views and make all this money, dude, I need 15%. Okay.
18. You should have signed the contract before we hit the live button.
uh, yeah, you're
I,
gonna have to, it's gonna be reversed. You're gonna make my ammo from then on out.
that could be scary.
I'll just give you a recipe and then you'll just make it for me. How about that?
Hey, the recipes are almost like cooking. You follow the recipe, it works out.
Yeah.
I'm up to like 4 loads.
Yeah.
Loads. That's what I'm up to. 4 loads. And 2 of the loads are the exact same load. The only difference is one's 1 ounce and the other one's 1 1/8. But I'm going to count that as 4 loads.
Hey, you're doing a lot better than when I started.
Well,
The load that I started with shooting waterfowl, it was like 5,000 or 6,000 psi over Sammy.
I'm not going to lie. True story. There was nobody at home yesterday when I wanted to go test these loads because I loaded them the other night and I really wanted to test them. There was nobody at home, and I'm like, if I did something wrong, which in theory you can't put too much powder because then the wad ain't gonna go down and it ain't gonna crimp. In theory, I mean, you could be stupid. I'm just saying, in theory, I couldn't be like really, really stupid. But I called my mama. I said, Mama, I'm going to be shooting with my gun. I got 4 shells. And every time I shoot, I'm going to call you to make sure that I don't blow myself up. That's how iffy I was with making my own shell.
No, you're good, man. Like that load is dialed in.
And again, that's what you said. Follow the recipe. I 100% follow the recipe. It wasn't like, you know what? I don't like what they put. I'm just going to come up with my own. That's where you start messing up.
Yeah.
Follow the recipe.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Like the load that I started with, it was 1.25 ounces of steel. I won't tell the exact recipe, but it was using a lot of the wrong powder.
Okay, with that being said,
dude, let me tell you, like this thing killed ducks. This thing was a duck slaying machine, dude. As far as like steel shot loads go, like I don't think I've ever shot anything better to this point. But that sucker, I had it tested, and that thing was like 18 or 19,000 psi. Like it was almost over proof spec. So there's SAMI map, which is max average pressure. Then there's proof specs. Proof is like what a shell can actually manage before it starts blowing up, before it starts like erupting the hull and like doing all kinds of crazy stuff. I was like right at proof spec.
wow.
You know? So I was like right up there, dude, and it was, I mean, it was a great load, but I'm never gonna shoot that again just for the fact that I know that it's extremely hot.
You were talking
But
about
the point is like follow the recipe, follow the data, and if you want to get weird and crazy, like go send your stuff into a ballistics lab for testing.
And get your recipes from legit real sources. There's plenty of books. A lot of these places that sell reloading stuff, they have their recipes online. I showed it in a couple of my videos. Hodges website, it tells you how to make the AA right from their website.
Yeah.
Just don't.
And
hey,
if you're a part of my Facebook page, Shot Shell Reloading for Beginners, you can get I think there's 3 manuals from Ballistic Products. I'm going to try to increase them because they just came out with the bismuth manual. I might try to get a discount code for it. But we have a discount code for the advantages, advanced clays, and status of steel, which is their non-toxic steel shot manual. So you can get, I think it's 20% off. I can't remember. Don't quote me on that, but it's pinned on the Facebook page at the top.
I'm gonna pull that up. I gotta pull up.
But you can get a discount on their reloading manuals, either downloadable or the actual physical copy. So I can't even remember what the heck the code was. It's there on the like the announcements or files or something like that.
I'm gonna pull it up.
So yeah, there's lots of good manuals. There's even there's a lot of like Tom Roster for instance. He's got a lead bismuth manual, like a little brochure.
Oh.
He's also got like Heavy 13. He's got guys like him. There's little manuals and brochures and stuff like that out there from like independent ballistic contractors and ballisticians and stuff like that. So
Right, but what I'm
there's lots of
saying
good
is,
stuff out there.
just don't take off of some form that you read online. Somebody that wrote
Yeah,
something
don't
down
take a
on.
load that you read off of like Gun Talk or like whatever, and go stick it in your gun. You have no idea what that's going to do. You don't know how the heck they developed it. If they just like went into their backyard and just blasted into dirt and was like, "This is good," like.
And you see that a lot on YouTube. You do see that a lot on YouTube. There's one video. There's two people I follow on YouTube. They're constantly just randomly making up stuff like, "Oh, today I'm going to see how many toothpicks and Legos that I could shoot out of a shotgun shell." And I'm like, that's
Stupid.
pretty dangerous. Yeah, that's pretty dangerous.
Stupid. Very dumb.
But
don't put random stuff into shotgun shells and shoot them out of your gun.
So there's the shot shell reloading for beginners page on Facebook. That's what it looks like. I'm not logged into that browser, so I can't scroll up and down, but
America.
Yep. 12,000 members.
Yeah.
Almost 13.
Yeah. I think I approve like, I don't know, a dozen people every day.
That's good.
It's crazy. It's hard to keep up with the scammers. Again, there's like so many fake accounts and people out there.
That's true.
But yeah, it's a good resource. We have a lot. I try to maintain the thing, and people get too out of hand. Like there was one guy on there that was like talking about reloading primers and doing all kinds of weird experimental crap, and I had to let him go because it's a beginner's page and it's just goofy off the wall stuff like that. It's dangerous. So
yeah,
it's a good page. There's lots of good information there and lots of good people. So
yeah, and like I said, there's some stuff that you have to pay for with reloading for recipes, but there's really good websites out there from the people who make the stuff and sell the stuff that you don't have to pay for, that is already there. Just use that recipe.
Right.
But
yep.
And that's what I'm doing. I'm learning, just like this YouTube. Maybe one day we'll all be rich and famous.
Yeah. Probably not.
You're either going to be rich, famous, or good looking, and I already lost the good looking part, so I can only be rich and famous from this part, right?
Yeah, like I said, dude, I'll be happy if I can just hunt on a weekday. You know what I mean? Well, that's when I'll know. Like that's when I'll know I've made it. If I can hunt on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and not give a damn, I'll be like, you know what, I've made it. Like this is the life.
I can do that occasionally through waterfowl season, only when
you take time off.
When it falls on a holiday. Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's Day.
Yeah.
That's
about it.
Is Martin Luther King Day in February Goose?
I don't know.
I think there's like 4 holidays in that period of waterfowl season that typically
if
fall
you're like
on
in like early goose season, I guess Labor Day would fall right in there, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Depending on where you're at.
That's true. Labor Day would fall in. That's early goose and dove season for us. So yeah, so 5. We get 5 seasons. Maybe hunting on a
you get 5 days where you get to act and feel like you're retired and free and not a slave.
That's what I told my wife last year. I said, I'm hitting waterfowl big this year because when I get into my 50s and 60s, I'm going to be too old to be going hunting these game management land where I'm having to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
I want to go to Habitat Flats and be like, I'm going to wake up at 9 o'clock and we're going to go shoot a limited ducks at like 10:30.
Shoot, I want to be on one of these places in like North Carolina's got the ramps and stuff, and just ride my scooter out to the blind.
Right. There's actually a place here in Utah. I can't remember the name of it. I want to say it's the Ruddy Duck Club. But they've got cabins and lodges where you literally walk down the stairs from your room or like the main like living room or lobby or whatever. You walk down onto a boat ramp and a boat will come by and pick you. A duck boat will come by and pick you up. And you'll step in off of the thing from having just eaten like a 5-star breakfast down into this duck boat. And they will take you out there where there are like snacks and drinks and ammo and everything's set up. The blind's clean and swept. Like this thing is like bougie as crap. And you'll literally just sit there and shoot ducks until you're done.
That's when you know you made it.
That's when you know you made it, dude.
You know you have made it when you haven't ran out of snacks, but you have ran out of shotgun shells. Because I have been there. I have been there where I've done went through 2 boxes of shells and my snacks, and I ain't shot a bird.
That is a good day. When you still have snacks and you're out of shells, that is a dang good day. Because more times than not, I'm looking for more snacks and I'm covered in shells and mosquitoes and heat or cold. I'm taking my 7-year-old with me. I got to have snacks, dude. That kid, 4 seconds into sitting down, he's like, hey, can I have some snacks? And he's rustling a granola bar package or some fruit snacks or something. I'm like, dude, keep it down. What are you doing? He's just going hog wild for hours, just nothing but grazing the whole time.
My buddies that I hunt with, they always call me the honey bun. You're like, he's always got a honey bun or a Pop-Tart. I mean, that's just something simple that you could throw in your blind bag. But be prepared, because you get out there hunting and the birds are good, you're going to wish you had some Scooby snacks with you.
Scooby snacks. I'm telling you, some of these companies wouldn't exist without duck hunters.
No, some of these gas stations. Some of these gas
stations alone, like gas stations, there's stinking snacks and their foods in there. Like, I'm pretty sure sunflower seeds, Little Debbie's, and like Mountain Dew wouldn't even exist without duck hunters.
Viner sausages.
Yeah. Like Jack Link's beef jerky. Like, come on. Like, you really think you'd survive through the fall and winter without duck hunters? Sales would plummet. People would get laid off. World's economic forum, like the world would come to a complete crash.
There was a I got it saved on my phone, it was a pretty cool statistic. Now I know I couldn't pull this up on the computer because I wouldn't know where to find it.
Right.
But this was the picture, and it was from one of these waterfowl convention things. It said that, and the number blew my mind. Hunters, anybody waterfowl hunting over the age of 16 and older, and this was done in 2022, there were 14 million hunters, but it only counted for 5.5 of the whole total United residents. So basically, waterfowl hunters were like 5% of the whole country. And waterfowl hunters spend $45.2 billion on waterfowl.
I believe it.
Annually, this is a low number for me. This is just me. An average waterfowl hunter spends is $3,146 average annual amount per hunter. you think about it. That's you go on one trip. That's $1,000.
I was gonna say that sounds kind of low.
Yeah, I mean, one trip is $1,000, and that's a low number. It's probably around the $1,500 to $2,000 range. But by the time you buy all the Scooby snacks, all the shells, your gas, that is a lot of money. Like you said, if there was no waterfowl hunters, that would be a lot. The average round trip expense per hunter, this is what it says, $857 average total trip related per hunter. And that's probably hotels.
Yeah.
Gas.
I mean, hotels for a crappy hotel, you're paying
125.
maybe 110 to $150 a night.
Absolutely. And that's that's the ones that got the free back massagers. The cockroaches.
Yeah. The free back massagers.
Son, you laugh, but you've been in one of them hotels where you don't even put your suitcase on the ground.
Oh yeah, I mean, we went to a hotel and we're like, we don't care what it is, just no smoking. And we go in there and it's a smoking room, and we're like, we can't even breathe in there, and it stinks, and we're like, man, this is the worst. But
and then it says number of meals. This was a huge number here. 186 million number of meals produced from harvest waterfowl. That's crazy. And you know, there is a lot of places that people go on these guided hunts and they don't eat the meat. I mean, I'm gonna say I went to Texas. I couldn't bring back all the meat that I brought. I mean, I drove. I would have to bring coolers and ice. There is a lot of places that these places you can go hunt and they donate that food, that meat to orphans, to different associations. And you see that you know, another person who talks about it all the time is Ramsey Russell on his podcast, where they go to Argentina and they fly into these countries.
Yeah.
And they're paying these young boys to retrieve these ducks. And basically the people that go down there hunting, they got money. I mean, it is a trophy. Yeah. It's a trophy hunt for them. They go down there, they hunt all these birds, where they give it to the village. Well, the village can't kill the birds because, for one, they don't have the guns, they don't have the ammo, they can't afford it.
They can't afford any of that.
That's right. So when these people come in to do these trophy hunts, these people are making money because they're providing the hunt, and they're getting resources and food back from it. A lot of people are like, oh, them trophy hunters, look past the rich person that's flying halfway across the world to do a trophy hunt. They are dropping so much money into these villages that is mind blowing.
It's great. It's crazy. I can't remember what it was, but I know that they don't run dogs out there. They just run kids out into these fields to pick up your birds.
Right. I can't remember. It's kids.
I can't remember what the guides will pay them, or maybe you pay them. Like that's roped into the fee. I can't remember. I've never been there, but I've heard something about like the kids make like, I'm making it up, but it could be like 10 cents a bird or something. But like these kids are so jazzed to go pick up your birds. Like they're running out there, they're running back just so they can get more and more of them. Like they're practically making more money retrieving birds than like, you know, a local person with a legitimate job in that area. So it's, you're dumping tons of resources into those areas along with the food that you leave behind. It's, I mean, without the American hunter, duck, big game, or whatever, it's without us, you know, a lot of economies. And I know I was trying to be kind of funny, but literally, like, think about it, like, given all the stats that you just placed, the economy would take a huge hit if we just stopped duck hunting, stopped shooting, stopped buying all of our treats, stopped eating out. stop driving to these places, stop paying for hotels. Like, there's no way that wouldn't cause some sort of ripple effect. It's
I mean,
crazy.
you just look at Real Foot Lake, Tennessee. That whole place is built around fishing in the summertime, duck hunting in the winter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's how these communities are, especially like in Canada too. I mean, there's
Yeah, Canada, Alaska,
a lot of them farmers are
Texas.
making money. The farmers don't care. The waterfowls are eating their crops, so they're happy that somebody's coming to take care of the nuisance, and they're making money on it.
Some of these farmers, dude, they're pretty they're pretty greedy, it seems like.
Yeah.
Like, you can, I mean, in some of these real high pressured areas and stuff, like, it's definitely a legitimate income source for them, which I can't blame them for at all. But yeah, I don't know. It's a huge industry. I wanted to get back to the shot shell thing. I can't remember what the statistic was, but I know for a fact that the vast majority of shot shell ammunition that's sold and shot every year is waterfowl ammo.
Really?
Yeah. And it's like, I can't even remember. It was in like the millions of rounds that are sold. So you'd have to look that up. I can't remember the stat, but I remember hearing that from, I believe it was my old lab supervisor at Barnes. He was saying like the vast majority of shotgun shells that are like 75+% of it is waterfowl shells. Some crazy number like that.
Well, let's just look at this number here. So in 2021, 2022, the U.S. hunters shot 9.46 million ducks. 9 million ducks.
And how many of those ducks were shot with one shot?
Oh, absolutely not. No. No, you're
I've
talking.
I've seen some 25 round birds before, dude. And it's like,
Yeah, they're
holy
diver
crap.
ducks.
Like, you guys shot a whole box of ammo between you and your group at a freaking diver.
Absolutely. So
Congratulations.
that would be 9 million shells right there.
That would just be, yeah, that'd be just
Yeah.
roughly 10 million shells. It's, if you double, I mean, it's like, let's say at best, the average shooter, this is probably way more generous than the average shooter is probably allowed. But let's say you're at least 50%. So you're 2 shells per bird. That's 20+ million shotgun shells.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy. It's saying California hunters shot 929,000 ducks. Just California. Almost a million ducks.
That's a million
Yeah.
ducks in just California.
Yeah.
That's an insane amount. Dude, they've got a lot of waterfowl there, so it doesn't surprise me, but
Well, I mean, considering how big California is too, I mean that's like one of the
it's an
hugest
enormous state, just
flyway.
geographically. There's so much duck hunting area, coastal, inland, all that stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah. I'm looking up, I'm trying to find the rounds.
But yeah, let's like 20 million rounds. And what does your average shot shell cost? Maybe for like steel, maybe like $1,
I
$1.25.
think it's like $1.80, $1.50, something like that. Dollar, maybe
Okay,
you
yeah.
got it
So
on
like
sale.
let's say it's round up to
Yeah,
$2. You're
that's
like
$18 million.
$40+ million in just shot shell ammo, which is probably super conservative. like
Oh
I
yeah,
said,
and then you
you're not
talking.
shooting all the shells that you shot that you bought in the season, and you're sure as heck shooting more of it than you're wanting to at any individual duck. So
I mean, you talking about waterfowl and how much the waterfowler is contributing. Look right there. This man who
yeah,
mounts most of my birds has now retired, and he's doing taxidermist full time.
yeah,
If I wasn't hunting, he wouldn't have taxidermy.
yeah.
Which inside of each bird is a foam filled form that he's buying from a company.
They had to make it.
Somebody is making in a manufacturer who may not even work. I mean, it might
And
not
then
even hunt.
that company had to buy the raw material foam,
There you go.
and it just like trickles down, dude. That's what I'm saying. It's crazy.
Hunting is a $1 billion, billions of dollar
Multi-billion
industry.
dollar for sure.
Yeah.
Between all the different genres, it is a multi-billion dollar
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if
industry.
you look,
It's a huge industry in these United States.
you know,
And not just the US, but the world, but specifically the US. It's my gosh.
but you look at it, you think, oh, where I live, there's somebody in almost every household that hunts. But how small our town is, compare that to, a big cities like Atlanta, like Chicago. Yeah, there's a lot of hunters here, but there's hardly nobody. And what blows my mind is when I look at these statistics on my podcast of where people listen. And I do appreciate every single person who listens. And if you do listen, I hope that you tell other people. So I don't know if you're listening because you care about hunting and the topics that we talk about, or you just like to listen to how funny I sound. But there's just on Spotify, there's France, Australia, New Zealand. Now somebody from Australia is probably laughing at the way I talk. If you and your wife is laughing at me the way I talk, I know they are.
Well, they don't have much they don't really have they don't have much skin in the game. They sound pretty weird themselves, so
Yeah. And then I look on Apple Podcasts, and there's like Texas. In Texas, Houston is one of the places a lot of people listen to my podcast in Houston. And then there's Chicago. Like there's a group of people in Chicago listening to my podcast, which you would say Chicago, man, that don't make no sense. There ain't the Great Lakes is literally right there. There is a lot of hunting up that way.
It's true. It's a lot of water up there. I mean, you think about it, like waterfowl, they're going to be where the water's at.
And they are not that far from Canada.
No.
So,
yeah.
All right. Well, I had you on for an hour and a half. We were going to call it quits earlier, and then we started talking about chickens and all kind of crazy stuff.
Chickens and snapping turtles, and my cat freaked out because a stray cat came in the house somehow.
Yeah, it sounded like pandemonium over there.
Just another day in my life, man.
Son, I know the life that you're living. I'm living it too. Sometimes you just can't make sense of it. Sometimes
kids
just
running around everywhere, freaking chickens and cats, and
they say you're gonna miss that one day.
They say that. There's a song about it somewhere. Freaking, but if I had $1 for every time I stepped on a Lego or a Hot Wheels or something. And the bottom of my feet have an inch of callus on them. You know what I'm saying? So,
I know what you mean.
Yeah,
preach it to the choir.
100%.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. Like I said earlier at the beginning, this is a weekly podcast. It starts at 8:00. So there's been a good many viewers coming and going. Wednesdays at 8:00. Sometimes they're 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. We talk all kind of stuff. So
yeah,
make sure you join in on Wednesdays. And tell other people about the YouTube channel and the podcast. So
yeah. For those watching, for those interested, we are starting to put out more ammo. Be on the lookout. We've got triple curl dropping every day, different stuff. So it shouldn't be. Hopefully, this season we'll have a lot more ammo available. So
what he's saying is he called his daddy up and said, "Pops, you got to come out of retirement."
Yeah. Yeah, he just got back from a 3-week trip in Europe, so I'm going to put him to work. So we'll be good. So just keep a lookout on the website. If there's something you don't see or something you want, just give me an email or a text message or call, and we'll figure it out. So
Sounds good.
That's all
Well, I
I gotta say.
appreciate everybody watching and listening. And now, a word from our sponsors.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get 'em!
Matthew Knight with Satura Investors out of Charlotte. There's the information. The link to his website is scrolling across the banner down at the bottom, and it's also in the description. Today's episode is about helping business owners and working professionals like you who share a passion for the outdoors, shooting sports, zeroing them in to their long-term financial goals. So if you need any information or contact or any other questions, contact Matthew. Also, go check out Salt Creek Ammo. This triple curl TSS is some of the best TSS I have ever shot. This is for waterfowl edition. It's made full waterfowl. So if you're going to shoot a species that you've been chasing for a long time, don't use no cheap ammo. You pay good money to go on a trip. You got great guns. Don't cheap out on cheap ammunition. This TSS is amazing. It's got number 7s, number 8s, and he has number 9s. So go check out saltcreekammo.com. Here you will find any kind of ammo you're looking for. He has custom loads, TSS in 10 gauge, 12 gauge, 20 gauge, low pressure ammunition. You got predator ammunition, turkey ammunition, anything you're looking for, give Keith a call. Also to the channel, Kicks Industries, most people will know them as Kick Chokes, has came on board, and I have done a bunch of series lately on waterfowl choke tubes, turkey choke tubes, deer choke tubes. So go check out Kick's website for all of the chokes that can fit your guns. Flint Ridge Hauling Service, LLC, has partnered up with the channel. It is your go-to provider for all your hauling needs. They are not just any hauling service. They are an active DOT interstate hotshot hauling provider. Flint Ridge Service, LLC, prides itself in its reliable transportation services. This team ensures that your cargo is delivered safely and on time no matter the distance. Whether you need to transport goods across the county or state line, they have the capacity and the expertise to meet your hauling needs. Equipped with a smooth riding 40-foot air ride equipped trailer and a max hauling capacity of 20,000 pounds, there's no load too big or too small that they can't handle. Look no further than Flint Ridge Hauling Service, LLC.